I want to see Zack Berman. Let's bring him in now, the Eagles insider. Now, Zach, we didn't get to see Nick Sirianni, so we want to hear what he said. We want to hear everything you learned in the locker room, but we do have to start. We have a little bit of a bet here. Our question is, have you already placed your order for that A.J. Brown book?
I've not placed my order yet, but I am eager to read it. I'm eager to chat with AJ about it. I'm always curious what players are reading. I once read Chip Kelly's favorite book in the summer of 2015 to try to learn more about Chip. As I like to say, it was the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. I learned nothing about Chip. I learned a lot about stoves. And I often ask players what they're reading. I wish for my sake that he was reading The Franchise or Underdogs. I could have,
you should have seen the top of the show, Zach.
No, yeah, I could have used a national TV bump there. But no, AJ said after the game, he said he does this all the time. The players on the team, his teammates call it the recipe book because he's in it so often. He said it just so happened that the TV cameras caught it, but this is this is something that he goes to fairly often. So he was laughing about it. If you are seeing an AJ Brown interview on TV or our social media channels during the next few days, and you see like my book in the background there, maybe it's because I'll try to slip him a book this week. But no, in all seriousness, he said that it's not a big deal. It's something he does fairly often.
Very interesting. Very cool. So
yeah.
Give us the big takeaways.
Thank you, Vinny.
From the locker room, from your vantage point, Zach. Yeah. What was the vibe?
Yeah, it was a very business-like vibe, if you will. It was, the offensive players were acknowledging this wasn't pretty. Julia. Like Lane Johnson was a truth teller there, but it doesn't matter. As Lane said, this game won't get good Yelp reviews for them, but they won, right? And his point being, like, it wasn't pretty, but survive in advance, to use that term. It was really the defense that stood out. This is the fewest points the Packers have scored all season, and the defense excelled. And I understand Green Bay was undermanned, but especially at wide receiver. But there was a lot of shine on the way Nolan Smith played, a lot of shine on the way Zack Baun played, a lot of shine on the way Quinyon Mitchell played. Jalen Hurts says he owes Quinyon Mitchell something after the interception. Now, I thought this was going to be something like spicy, juicy, or, some designer bag that you might own, Bo. But that's a callback to the presents. That's a callback to the presents last year. Do you remember when you said you would like that bag, the Louis Vuitton bag? But no, it's actually just an Instagram shout out was all that he owes. Although Jalen once said that he doesn't control his social media channel, so someone's going to have to put out the Instagram shout out for Quinyon Mitchell. But Zack Baun, this has been a big week for Zack Baun, making first team All-Pro, and then has this performance in the postseason. He said it was a crazy week. Nolan Smith, and I'll have a story on this later this week. I spoke to Nolan about this a few weeks ago, but like when he was talking about like what's going through his mind after a game like this, he's like, I'm supposed to be on the docks right now working the graveyard shift, a reference to his hometown and since in Savannah, Georgia. So Nolan Smith, a huge game, 2 sacks, and Lane Johnson said like he loves Nolan. Everyone knows about Nolan's athleticism, but Nolan's really coming on as a pass rusher, and specifically referenced the way he rushed against Zach Tom, who Lane thinks is one of the best right tackles in the NFL.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. It was an absolutely impressive performance from Nolan Smith. Were you there for Nick, Zach?
No, I did not go to Nick today. I'm going to have to listen to Nick back. I was really trying to work the room today, hear a bunch of different perspectives. There wasn't like a hot button decision with Nick that I felt I needed to ask him on. So really, I was trying to take the temperature in the locker room. And yeah, I should also add that there was a lot of sentimentality, or if that's the right term, for the Nakobe Dean injury, right? Players praying for him. Nakobe's, in their thoughts. A lot of talk about how important he is to this team. And it's pretty clear that Nakobe's going to miss some time here, right? So yeah, that's something that came up quite a bit. And Nolan Smith was saying that he was there praying with Nakobe. He tried to get Nakobe up. Nakobe couldn't get up. He came to see Nakobe in the locker room. He said that, and Vinny understands this. He says people say it's just football, but like this is their livelihood, right? So how much it pains him to see Nakobe down like that.
Yeah, it's a brutal one, and for a guy who has already fought through so much in a young career and was excelling this season, it is pretty brutal, and you can understand why it would affect the guys, especially with so many guys who have played with him for so long. What did you make, Zach, of just the incredible defensive performance, forcing 3 turnovers, 1 more on special teams? How proud was that group of what they were able to do against the Packers?
Yeah, I would say proud, but I would also say unsurprised. Like that group, the question was posed to Darius Slay about the way they played against the Packers. And he's like, do you know what? We were ranked this year. And, the person was like in the top 10. He's like, top 10, we were number 1, So it was like, it's a group that expects to play this way. And that's from talking to, I spoke to about 6 guys on the defense today. I was going around the locker room because one of my stories is going to be on the defense. And it was interesting to hear just the way they talk about Vic Fangio, just like a mastermind of scheme and adjustments, of putting them in the right spots. So that came up. Even like Zack Baun was saying that, he said the interception for him was like his dream interception, but he said he's going to lament. He had some missed tackles tonight that are really going to bother him. He said number 8, Josh Jacobs, is a real difficult player to tackle. But he said the interception itself was like, for him, it was like the perfect interception, just because of like the way he was able, the way Fangio trusts him to make certain adjustments throughout the play, that given the situation, given the way he intercepted it. And early in the year, he didn't have Fangio's trust. Like when the season started, he didn't have Fangio's trust to make that type of adjustment on the play and on the ball. And I asked him when and how he got that trust. And he said he doesn't know when. He's like, he would have to think about it. He said it just kind of happened. But it's interesting hearing Baun, because this is the cool thing about my role here is like every week is like a chapter in the season, right? So I remember vividly being in Brazil, talking to Zack Baun in that locker room. And mind you, at the time, Zack Baun was, I don't want to say like the surprise starter, but this unknown starter. There was like only 2 of us talking to Zack Baun. He plays this amazing game. And it's like, wow, Zack Baun, can you believe this? Can you believe this? And now here he is, 18 weeks later, and first team All-Pro. He's not the best player in the defense, but like one of the 2 best players in defense, one of the 3 best players in the defense, one of the best players in the NFL this season. And he's basically saying, like he's not putting a limit on what he can do. And he's not putting, he said this is his first year playing inside linebacker. So there's a lot left for him to get to. And so it's interesting how it was like a surprise 18 weeks ago. And now it's the expectation that Zack Baun has this huge interception, because when you consider game flow, that was a big play in the game, right? If Green Bay scores before half, things look a little different perhaps. And all over the field, Nakobe goes down. Zack Baun's wearing the green dot. So it says a lot about Zack Baun's evolution, the type of game that he had tonight. And me, I'm always a sucker for narratives. This is a guy from Milwaukee doing this against the Packers. I remember him pointing that out to me in Brazil. And when I asked him this week, he was like, he didn't really follow the Packers. He actually followed the 49ers. He liked Colin Kaepernick. He said he kind of likes sticking it to the Packers, but he's not a real big football, or he wasn't a big Packers fan growing up. And so he was getting those questions tonight. And he's like, yeah, it didn't matter to me that it was the Packers. So yeah, this is the expectation for Zack Baun at this point.
So Zach, not locker room specific, but what did you make of the quarterback's performance tonight?
I thought he started off really well. 6 for 6. The opening drive there, them getting points, and then just went into a prolonged lull. And I thought that he was certainly inconsistent, right? I mean, there was that one point there where he had 7 consecutive incompletions. I thought he missed AJ, and he pointed this out. He missed AJ on a pass that he should have hit him on, and I thought they just could have done more. There was just a lack of rhythm. Now, Jalen said he had to watch the film. He said he didn't necessarily feel rusty from it. He also said it doesn't matter how you win. It's just winning. He was kind of spinning it like this is a big. He's never won a wild card game before. He said, and it's been a long time since Philly has won a wild card game. So he pointed that part out. But it was my read on it. This was not the type of game that it will take to beat Detroit. This was not the type of game that it might take to beat Minnesota next week, or we'll see. What's the score in Tampa, Washington?
Commanders are up 10-3 right now.
Yeah. So I mean maybe Tampa next week, right? Maybe the Rams, right? We'll see. But I actually think that next week's game might be a little easier than this week's game.
I said the same thing.
I'll frame it this way. Yeah. I'll put it this way. Jalen will need to play much better to beat Detroit on the road. And I think if you had an honest conversation with Jalen, he would probably admit as much too. Up there, he wasn't saying it. But I don't think he played well. I think he played well enough. And what I mean by that is, and he referenced this, he didn't turn the ball over tonight, right? Jordan Love, threw the ball to the Eagles twice, or three times, right? And so that right there in a close game, that matters. And it's not pretty. You don't want to kind of put the game manager label on it. I thought he did enough, but he needs to be better.
Zach, earlier this season, we could not get you to do the Cooper DeJean celebration. Can we get you to do the Saquon?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, okay. Is that like a thing to Saquon? So by the way, I'm pretty sure that the Cooper DeJean celebration has like meaning to it that I probably don't want to put out there, right? So I don't want to do the Cooper DeJean celebration. The Saquon, what is it, like this? Yeah, I'm pointing here. The PHLY studio is that way. How about that?
Not bad. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not bad.
I didn't get a chance to catch up with Saquon. Was eager to do so, but he was talking at the same time as AJ, and I knew the listeners wanted to know all about the book.
Absolutely.
I saw our friend Shio Kapadia when I was on the elevator. I saw a tweet from Shio saying like 30 years from now, this game's going to be remembered as the game when AJ was reading the book. And it's funny because like that's not how it shows. It's why it's important for me to be in touch with what people who are watching on TV are following, because if you're at this game, that's not this huge story, right? But if you're at home, it's probably a bigger deal, right? And so it's not something that I thought was a huge deal, but I guess he was laughing it off. His teammates were laughing it off. Jalen was asked about it, and Jalen said that he's seen him carry the book around. He hasn't seen him read it on the sideline before, but he says everyone has their own ways of kind of getting focused. AJ talked about there's a specific passage in the book early on that is like particularly meaningful to him that he thinks is important for his like mental stability out there.
He tweeted it out, Zach. You can read all about it.
Zach, if you had to read...
Yeah, he tweeted out the actual quotes that he reads.
Okay, awesome. I like AJ. He's real like that.
If you, Zach, had to read a book as you were covering a game in the press box that, books you have written excluded, what would it be to get you to lock in?
Oh, to get me to lock in.
Benjamin
so are we talking like journalistic books? What's that? Are we talking
Vinny said Benjamin Franklin.
What's that?
Vinny said the Benjamin Franklin autobiography.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, I remember it was the summer of 2015, and I'm sitting at the beach, and my wife was then my fiance was like, "What are you reading?" And I'm like, "The autobiography of Benjamin Franklin." She's like, "Why are you reading the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin?" I was like, "Well, it's Chip Kelly's favorite book," and she just rolled her eyes at me. She probably knew then what she was getting into. But
the first of many rolled eyes, I would imagine.
Yes, yeah, many rolled eyes. Yeah. So what would I read to kind of get me into? There's so many. So I would probably go non-journalism. I would probably go with Adam Grant has some good books. Think Again is a good book that I recommend. It's kind of the art of rethinking, which has always been valuable. I would say, shout out to Adam Grant. I don't think Adam Grant's watching this, but he's someone whose books I really enjoy. I like Thinking Fast and Slow. That's a good one. There's I can mention a Malcolm Gladwell book or two, but Bo would roll his eyes. I like Dick Schaap's book Flashing Before My Eyes is a memoir that kind of gets me in like a good writing flow sometimes. But I would probably say maybe you know what actually I would go with Grit by Angela Duckworth. That's what I would read. Grit by Angela Duckworth. Shout out to Angela Duckworth as well. She's also outstanding.
She's a diehard. We appreciate her support. Would you say
Zach, it's amazing.
Yeah, of course. She's a big Charlie O'Connor fan. Loves the Flyers.
Of course, shout out to Amazon.
As am I.
Yeah.
As am I. and
shout
your
out
local
to Bill in the
bookshop.
chat as well.
Oh yeah, awesome job on the postgame show, Bill. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, Bill said he bought 50 copies. He's going to hawk them for $30 a pop in the parking lot next week.
I mean, that's just good business.
Yeah, I mean, smart.
Yeah, I don't know if the parking lot's the crowd for that, but hey, you never know.
Zach, earlier this season, after that Saints game, you said it was the best play of Dallas Goedert's Eagles career. Would you say that the touchdown tonight surpassed it?
Great question. Probably significance. Yes, you would say that. I still think that the play in New Orleans, they lose that game if he doesn't make that play.
This is a wild
they
hill for you
lose
to
that
die
game. But yeah, tonight that was awesome.
He was just running wide open.
He broke one tackle, had two stiff arms. It's the context of that game. Devontae Smith, AJ Brown are out of the game. They're in a 3rd and 16 or third and 12, and he has a catch that they hadn't scored or they had not had much of an offensive life that game.
Yeah, but he didn't have to do anything once he caught the ball.
When people are running after you, that's doing something, right? These guys, I know you're a hell of an athlete.
This is a crazy take, I think.
No, Bo, I know you're a great athlete, but when NFL players are chasing you, that's doing something. Okay, that's not like it's not easy. That said, tonight is more. This is a playoff game, and by the way, you talk about significance. At that time, Green Bay had just made it a 1-score game.
Yeah,
the Eagles had 5 consecutive punts, 4 3-and-outs. They needed some type of offensive momentum. Now, Devontae had a big series there, but Dallas's touchdown was huge. So yeah, tonight was the biggest. Well, he also caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl, right?
So Zach, off of that, a little trivia for you. Can you name the second all-time touchdown leader in Eagles playoff history?
Yeah, Dallas Goedert. Yeah,
sharp.
I mean, context clues. You don't have to like puff your chest out like you like.
Yeah. I gotta say, no. This is not meant to be. This is not meant to be passive aggressive. I'm just giving this for context.
Here it comes.
This is gonna be good.
No. So typically, when I come on for a show, I'm in like the waiting area for like 10 minutes before I'm brought on. So I actually heard the conversation that Fran had when Fran said that. Yeah. So that's I heard Fran bring that up.
All right.
I thought I was gonna have to do with my pink shirt.
Yeah. How do you feel? Are you judging Fran for wearing a very handsome pink shirt here?
once again, I never judge anyone for wearing pink. Everyone has different, I respect everyone's different styles. I simply say it's not my style. That's like saying
disrespecting the Heart Foundation, Vinny. Come on.
Yeah. No. Now, Fran and I have different style, but Fran pulls that off well.
I will say, Fran, on the monitor, it feels like it looks a little more purple than it looks pink in person. Do you feel like I feel like there's a slightly different color change on the monitor?
Yeah, you might be right about that. Just looking at it now, but I'm regretting the tie. The white, the white tie kind of blows it out a little bit too. I went for the tie to match the shoes. I was hoping to get a drippy comment from.
I think it looks better.
Me personally, I would have definitely did the tie with the white shoes.
Keep the tie with the white shoes. Okay.
It looks better in person. I feel like the coloring of the screen is not doing it justice.
I'll do my best, ZB. Thank you.
Some more color.
Means a lot. Seriously, really.
Yeah,
really does.
Yeah. Now you pull it off. I always say what Jalen Hurts said. It's the person that makes the style, not the style that makes the person, right?
There were people in the chat wondering if you've made use of your new house shoes.
Yes, and I was going to thank people on Monday's show. I truly appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Been wearing those things around. They're actually by the door, so it's my reminder. When I come in the house, I take my shoes off. I put those on. They're great. I'm truly grateful. Truly grateful. Seriously.
All right,
I'm not wearing the pink ones. I'm wearing the black ones. Wait, so it's just some color here from the locker room. The Delaware State head coach, Sean Jackson, was in the locker room. Yeah. So was Gilly the Kid was in the locker room.
Was his little friend with him?
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the little guy. Was he with him?
Yeah.
Well, once again, that's all relative, right? Like, that guy. Yeah, the guy
that
was
dresses
there
in the Eagle uniform.
Yeah, so he was in there. He's not that. I mean, I'm not that much taller than him, right? So I can't say that. But yeah, he was. He was in there. Nick Sirianni dapped him up as well. He was going around saying hello to the players. So he was there. Yeah. So there was on the coolest part of the game was at one point in the second half, Vinny Curry was put on the scoreboard, which was awesome, right? Like, got a huge cheer. I was on Instagram at one point. Vinny working the parking lots was like all over my feed. So people were excited about that. That was cool to see. There were a lot of former Eagles in the house tonight.
Telling them to subscribe.
Amen.
Yeah, let's hit a thumbs up. Let's hit a subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a neighbor.
Yeah. So I was actually the Eagles had when they had Vinny up there, they had former Eagle Vinny Curry, which is true. I would have liked / PHLY co-host. Would be an awesome.
Yeah, that
way.
would have been good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week.
We'll work on that.
Next week. Yeah. We'll talk to the people there. Lane Johnson was asking what the scenarios would be for who they would play. So they're eager to see. I think he thought they were playing the winner of the Washington Tampa Bay game. So we had to explain the reseeding part of it. Yeah. So there's curiosity about who they're going to play.
Zach, who do you want? We did a poll. Most people want the Rams 1. Who do you think is the best opponent?
Yeah. So I know people want to avoid Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. I think the Eagles can beat Tampa Bay. I mean, I think Tampa Bay is the worst of those three teams, if I'm being honest with you. So I would say Tampa Bay. That said, for me personally, I want a Sunday game. So I would rather have Washington win tonight and then the winner of tomorrow's game. It just makes for better content this week. There's like intrigue about tomorrow night's game. And you kind of get you guys know this. Vinny knows this better than all of us. Like football, coaches in particular, but even some players get weird on short weeks, right? They act like one fewer day like changes everything. These guys are so routine oriented. And so I kind of like when players and coaches are in the Sunday to Sunday routine. It helps more for like the flow of the locker room. So that would be my preference. But for the Eagles, I think Tampa Bay is the worst of the three teams they could see.
And if from the Eagles' perspective, even if Tampa is the worst of the teams, if you get a day's rest advantage over the other teams, that's sort of makes up for it. All right. Any final thoughts, Zach, before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, big win for the Eagles. Like I said, style points wasn't there. I thought Lane put it well. This isn't good for their Yelp review, but I thought the story of the game was the defense. Curious to see what happens in the next 3 to 24 hours about the opponent next. The Nakobe Dean injury felt strong. I imagine Oren Burks will be the replacement there going forward.
I wonder if we'll see a little bit of Trotter mixed in, though, because we saw them do that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. You're absolutely right. That's what they did the game that Nakobe missed. So Nakobe played 15 games, missed the Cowboys game. Yeah, went back and forth there. I should say, I don't know if you've mentioned this, Nolan Smith played special teams tonight. He was pumped up about that. He thought that was he's a football player. He gets to play more football. One other thing, Jalen Hurts said that, so Jalen was asked, he was asked on Friday about what he learned during his time away. And he's like, I'll tell you guys at another time. Okay. So I was wondering, like, if there's something really deep or profound. And he said today that he was asked about Nakobe. He said one of the things he learned was the bond of the Georgia players and how much that's affecting the defense, and how, like, the confidence those guys bring, the way they play with each other, how big that is for the team. And he says it's kind of like the Alabama guys, but he really sees it on that unit with the Georgia guys. And I thought that was interesting insight from Jalen. And certainly, the Eagles are in a situation now where they have 6 guys from that Georgia defense. So that I thought that was an interesting observation from the franchise quarterback.
All right. Very interesting. All right, Zach, we look forward to reading what you write on allphly.com. Become a diehard if you are not, so you can read that. And we will talk to you tomorrow, my friend. Go ahead.
Can I crowdsource real quick? I'm going to ask you guys. I've one story coming up on the defense. Do you think readers want a story on A.J. Brown's reading? Because I got a lot on it. Do you think that's
if you have a lot on it?
Do you think that's
empty the notebook, baby.
Okay.
Tap into the what's viral.
All right.
If you're not writing it, you're reading it, Zach.
You're absolutely right. There you go. Okay, so 2 stories coming up. The defense.
I don't know how Fran has all of your sayings just like ready at the drop of a hat. He's unbelievable.
You're absolutely right. Then Tuesday, hopefully Tuesday this week, a Nolan Smith story that I've been working on, and some other fun stuff coming up this week. So check it out on allphly.com.
Can't wait to read that Nolan Smith story.
Appreciate that, Vinny.
And then, Zach, I do think you mentioned, I think if the Commanders win this game,
it's 10-10 right now.
And we know ahead of time that the Eagles are going to play the winner of the game tomorrow night. Maybe we'll do our bonus show, our primetime show tomorrow night, and do sort of like a watch-along, react-along deal.
Oh.
That'd be awesome.
That's a good idea.
Sign me up. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and we will be checking out allphly.com. Thank you, Zach.
We all silly like the mayor.